Are you planning for retirement but just don't know where to start? Or maybe you're somewhat along that journey, but you're overwhelmed by all the information and advice that's out there? Well, you're not alone, and I totally get it, because I've been exactly where you are, but I want to help you. So I thought if I could simplify this by breaking this down into 3 basic areas, or 3 key pillars as we're going to call it in the video, what would they be? So in this video, I'm going to do exactly that. This should not only give you some clarity, but make the whole retirement planning journey a lot easier, and hopefully make it happen sooner than you think. In addition to my own personal experiences within each pillar, I'm also going to share with you what it was for me, what was the straw that broke the camel's back and made me take the plunge into this new and fantastic phase of life. So be sure to stick around. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Paul, and thanks for stopping by. Retirement isn't just about your superannuation or pension fund balance. It's also about time, mindset and purpose. If you're planning to retire or you're just thinking about it, here are 3 basic pillars I'm suggesting will help you get there. Starting with number 1, readiness. For most of it, that could be when you hit 60. It could be when the kids have left school or finished their further education. It could just be when you become an empty nester. Whenever it is, it's important to have a time frame in mind, because it gives you something to aim for, something to commit to. But the good thing about any plan, of course, it can be flexible, because things change. For me, it was going to be when I hit 60, and I had a plan in place already for it, but some things did change for me, and I actually took the plunge before 60. And as I said, hang around for a couple of minutes and I'll tell you what it was that actually made me take that plunge. Some other things that can assist with you determining when you're ready and what your time frame is, and the big one, of course, is work. And ask yourself the question, are you still inspired by it, or are you just hanging around because you feel you should be there? Is there an opportunity to take a sabbatical? Is part-time work an option for you? They're all obvious considerations, but at the end of the day, it's about having a sense of readiness. So if you're thinking and nodding, I'm ready, but can't afford it, well, let's challenge that assumption in the next pillar, which is having a financial reality check. Guys, the first thing I want to say here is I'm not a financial advisor, so I do recommend and encourage you to go and speak to a relevant professional about your own specific situation. But I do want to say this, and it's the one thing that most people get wrong, because everybody typically thinks they need to hit some specific number. But what if I told you what you have right now may actually be enough? Because it's way easier to make a plan around something that you actually have rather than something you don't have, and more to the point, something you may never have. For me, I did engage a financial planner some years back, and that was something that we reviewed along that journey. But I also did some independent research, so I was empowered with knowledge rather than being overwhelmed with it. So before chatting with your financial planner, here's a few worthy considerations. Firstly, your plan should fit your money, not the other way around. Wants versus needs change in retirement, and needs become the priority. From my experience, they become a lot less as well. Things like downsizing, relocation can really change the game. Of course, there's a ton of other considerations that can come into play, but there's just a few things that can hopefully make the journey into retirement easier than you think. So then once you realise you have more options than you thought you had previously, you can then revert back to pillar 1 and start thinking about your time frame and your readiness. So with the first 2 basic pillars covered, let's get into number 3. So number 3, purpose in retirement. What are you actually going to do? How are you going to fill the days? And believe it or not, this seems to be the one that everybody skips the most. Because at the end of the day, it's the one that determines if retirement is going to be fulfilling or frustrating. What is it that will give your days meaning? What is it that's going to get you out of bed every day? For me, this was the one that was holding me back, because retirement wasn't just about stopping work. It was actually about starting something new or having something to step straight into. And just because you stop or retire from going to work, it doesn't mean that you retire from being busy. You've most probably got an idea what you're going to do in retirement, so I won't go into some examples, but one thing that does happen in your retirement is you do lose your identity, and that happens fairly quickly. And for me, this is the one I was really struggling with. What was I going to do every day? And YouTube then came along and just literally fell out of the sky. Now, I'm not suggesting everybody should start a YouTube channel, because there's a moral to all of this. What it's done is given me new purpose, new focus, new learning opportunities. I've got something to do every day, and I'm just learning new skills in an area that I never dreamed of. Technology, artificial intelligence, and all that sort of stuff. It's amazing the reinvigoration that it's given me. The other thing is I can combine YouTube with my number 1 hobby, which is travel. So if your vision for retirement is still vague, it may be time to revisit how you're actually going to spend your retirement, rather than spending all your time worrying about how you're going to fund it, which a lot of us typically do. So lastly, I'll call this bonus pillar number 4, which was my story, because I said I'd reveal what it was for me that took the plunge. And there was a number of things. There was a combination. Firstly, I was lucky enough to take a 6-month sabbatical. That enabled me to have a complete refresh in mindset. I also worked out that I didn't really miss work at all. But that said, I did go back to work with the intention of working part-time, say 3 days a week. Well, after a couple of weeks of doing that, I then found myself working full-time again, just due to an opportunity or a situation that came up in the organisation where I needed to they needed me to fill a gap. I was happy enough to do it. What I learnt pretty quickly from all of that is that I didn't want to live my life under that framework every day. The politics of work, the commute every day, the whole thing. And I quickly decided then, well, I really need to start thinking seriously about retirement. And I started getting more information about retirement. There was a couple of things that really stood out for me. One, most retirees kept saying, gee, I wish I'd done it earlier. And then there's the other thing about health, the great unsaid. I've heard stories where people are into their mid-late 60s, been retired a couple of years, and then they get the diagnosis from their doctor that they don't want to hear. You've got your 60s in front of you, or if you have, they're still good active years of life. And I just took the attitude, well, I'm done with work, I've got my financial ducks in a row, I've got something to do, and just went, well, why the hell not? So I took the plunge, and here I am, and I haven't looked back, and I certainly haven't regretted it. Because in summary, and to simplify it, life's too short, and we just never know what's around the corner. So guys, putting it all together, retirement might actually be something that's there for you sooner than you think. And when you break it down using the 3 pillars that I've just outlined, which I'll summarise to you again, with the first one, assess your readiness, not your fear, your readiness. Number 2, get professional advice, but get it based on what you actually have. Number 3, start exploring what would make retirement meaningful for you. So hopefully these 3 pillars go some way towards giving you assurance that retirement doesn't need to be something that's complicated or overwhelming. So what's your biggest barrier towards retirement? Maybe you're already there. Share us your story. I'd love to hear your comments. And as always, guys, I hope you found the content in today's video useful. If you have, give it a thumbs up because it really helps the channel. And also be sure to hit the subscribe button so you're up to date with all the latest future offerings around all things retirement, travel and purpose. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.